Okay, so guys, this is number 10 out of 7.2, and it says find the critical values and rejection regions for the type of z-test with level of significance alpha, and it says include a graph with our answer. Okay, so the first thing I notice is we are looking at a two-tailed test where our alpha is 0.05. Okay, so what the first thing I have right here, y'all, is I just got these notes from 7.2, and right here is telling me how we're going to find our critical values in a normal distribution. So we're going to find our level alpha. We have that, all right? We're going to figure out, is it left, right, or two-tailed? They told us it was two-tailed. So the way we're going to figure this out is it's going to say a two-tailed test, we're going to find the z-scores that correspond to half of alpha and 1 minus half of alpha, okay? So let me explain what I mean by that. So I'm going to draw a little picture here. I can get my pen going then. There we go. Okay, so here is my graph, right? Okay, and we're going to find our z-scores. So we know that our alpha in this case is 0.05, but my notes tell me that I need to find a z-score that corresponds to half of alpha. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what's half of alpha. So if I take 0.05 and divide it by 2, I'm going to come up with 0.025. What does that mean? That means that the area under the curve right here is 0.025. And I'm going to look for these z-scores. There's going to be one that's negative. There's going to be one that's positive. So guys, if the area under this part of the curve is 0.025, in a two-tailed test, the area over here to the right is also going to be 0.025, okay? So the way I'm going to do this on my calculator is I'm going to go second, I'm going to go vars, and we're going to use the inverse norm. Now remember, the inverse norm is going to tell me what my z-score is when I know the area to the left. So right here, that's the area to the left, okay? This one over here, that's actually the area to the right, so I don't want to use that one. I'm going to use this one here. So 0.025. I'm going to come up with my z-score. It's going to be negative, okay, because we're over here in the negative area. Remember, this is 0, so these numbers to the left are negative. These are positive, okay? So let me get my calculator going. Let me clear this out. So we're going to go second, vars. We're going to go to inverse norm, which was the third one. We're going to type in 0.025. And we are coming up with a negative 1.96, okay? I'm going to go to decimal places, guys, because it's telling me right here, let's go 2 decimal places. So the first one is a negative 1.96, and this one is going to be a positive 1.96, okay? So we're coming up with 2 answers. I'm going to put those answers in right here. So let me come back to my problem. Here we go. So let's see, negative 1.96, and it says separated by a comma, so there's my comma, 1.96, and I'm going to chickadee check my answer. Perfect. Okay, now it's asking me, what about these rejection regions, okay? So let me show you what they mean by this part. The second part is asking me about my rejection regions. So if I come back to my notes, here we go. So I'm looking at a two-tailed test. Here's my two-tailed test. Look at my rejection regions. My rejection regions is the area to the left, or when z is smaller than that value, and when z is bigger than the other value. So here are my rejection regions, right? So when I come back over here, the rejection region for this one is going to be when z is smaller, less than negative 1.96, and when z is bigger than 1.96, because these here are those rejection regions, okay? So this is what I'm looking at when I'm going to answer part B. So I'm going to say right here, when it's less than a negative 1.96, and when it's greater than positive 1.96, okay? We're going to chickadee check our answer again. Perfect. And now it's asking me, pick a graph. So what I want to do is I want to look at my choices in my graphs, A, B, C, and D, and I want to say which one of those graphs best looks like that we had right here. So if I look at what I just kind of put in that green box, I look at that graph, and I look at the one that I have here, it looks like choice D, so I'm going to select D. I'm going to check my answer again, and we got it, okay? So this is a great question. I'm glad you asked it. If anybody has any questions, guys, just let me know.